affected various aspects of the economy. How are the macros looking? Aditya Birla Capital's Ajay Srinivasan spoke with Nikunj earlier on. Here's an excerpt of that chat.
Is it a time, how would you decode the environment? Is it a time when you need to be cautious? I mean, in cricket terminology, bat on the back foot, or time to go on the front foot?
So I think you've got to go on the front foot, but you have to realize that the pitch is not an easy pitch to bat on. I think that's the way I would look at this environment. But I think you have to be cautious, you have to be prudent, because this environment calls for you to do that. But equally there are opportunities, which is why I think you play on the front foot rather than the back foot, because these are markets where there will be some people who will have an advantage compared to other people.
Are you confident of emerging stronger, bigger, better, both in terms of market share and also in terms of NIMs by the time cycle will pick up?
So we think we've got a very robust model across all our business lines, and I think if we continue to deliver that model through these market conditions, I think it will continue to deliver the gains in market share that in fact we've seen over the last few years as well. So we think the model works. I don't think the model needs to be tweaked to operate in this environment, and as long as we continue to deliver that, I think we should continue to see gains.
Everybody is talking about a liquidity crunch. RBI is saying there's surplus liquidity, banks and NBFCs are not lending. Who's right, who's wrong?
So I think the answer is probably a bit of both. There is liquidity, but the liquidity is not flowing, and it's not probably flowing to some sectors because there is risk aversion in general in the market. So I think you need a little bit of risk on to come back to see liquidity actually flowing to different segments of the market. But I do think that one of the things that's happened is the supply of credit has significantly changed over the course of the last year specifically. Because if you look back, about half the supply of credit in the economy, say 2 years ago, would have come from outside of the banking sector, from NBFCs, from mutual funds, life insurance companies, and so on. I think that amount has shrunk largely because of what's happened in the NBFC sector. And I think that is being felt by a number of sectors in terms of what's happening to credit to them. So if you look, about 45-50% of new to credit customers used to get money from NBFCs. Auto has been funded in a large way by NBFCs. So I think you can start seeing, therefore, how supply of credit to some of these segments is now starting to impact these sectors as well.
Will this slowdown force you to do business differently, both in terms of the profile, the geography, and also the nature of borrowers borrowing and lending?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, I think we are clear. We have a business model that works through cycles. I think you just need to be a little bit more cautious in environments where liquidity is tight. But otherwise, the business model we think is robust enough to last us through cycles.
The slowdown is biting economy now. What is your understanding? Do you think the real economy is not that as bad as what the perception is?
Well, I think you got the GDP number for Q1, so I think that does suggest that there has been a slowdown. But it's very clear that a number of people are cognizant of it. The government has made several mentions of the slowdown and coming up with a number of measures to tackle it. So I think these things then have the ability to kind of bounce back.
So before we wrap, I don't want to get this one wrong because we don't get a chance to interact with you, so I want to make the maximum of it. What is your view? Do you think bad will get worse before it gets better, or we are at the cusp? This is the darkest dusk before the dawn.
I think it's very difficult to call these things. My sense is that monetary policy is already fairly accommodative. It could get more accommodative because we know inflation is benign. Fiscal, clearly there are already signs of some fiscal action. So I think that combination can work. It's very difficult to call where exactly a bottom will be in an economy like ours.
But with global liquidity and central bankers easing rate, how do you see things moving on the demand front? Because monetary policy will pay an impact on demand. And just throw in the word risk before we wrap.
So I think we are actually well positioned given what's happening in the global economy, because our rates are still more attractive than many other places in the world. So we should be able to attract capital. We still have a demography and a structural economy which provides for significant growth, when growth is actually at a premium in many economies around the world. So I would say actually when things start settling down, India will become a very good destination for capital around the world.